Good morning, students of class 9. Welcome back to the online classes now. Let us continue our lesson in English. So, we have reached lesson 5, The Happy Prince. Now we are going to learn about the story first. Then we'll continue about the story. First we'll talk about what is the story is all about. What is it all about? So now we'll talk about, there are 5 points I have written over here. Before continuing our story, we should know what is the story is all about. So what we will learn from here. So now the main subject of the story, the theme or the subject that we are going to learn there are 3 things we'll learn first. Number A, the outward beauty is nothing. The outward beauty we see actually is nothing. The real beauty lies inside. That is, the real beauties are love and sacrifice. These are the real beauties a human being possesses. Not the outward show that we see. That's not the real beauty. So the real beauties are the love and sacrifice that a good quality a human being possesses. Number 2, love and sacrifice are 2 saving forces. These are the 2 saving forces. That is another thing we will learn. When you show love, even the animals can understand. And our greatest quality is sacrifice. We must learn how to sacrifice ourselves for the betterment of others. That is the beauty. So now number third is, see, there is a great gap between the rich and the poor in this modern world. Not only in the modern world, from ancient times there was a great gap, a difference between the rich and the poor, the rulers and the citizens or the masses. These 3 things we can learn while going through this story. Now here, the characteristics of the story. Who are the main characters in the story? The story is about a statue of a happy prince and a bird, that's a swallow, a migratory bird, who showed love and sacrifice. They showed love and sacrifice, and finally they were chosen by God as the most precious thing on the earth. So now we'll learn, while going through this story, we will learn each and everything properly. They tried to remove the misery of the people. Misery means difficulties, problems, hardships. So these 2, the happy prince and the swallow, tried to remove the misery of the people. The prince even weeps. Weep means cries. The prince even weeps when he sees the people in trouble. The prince, he cries. Tears starts rolling down his cheeks when he sees people in trouble, and wanted to help them. So how does he help the people who are in trouble? The prince in the story is not a living prince. The prince, happy prince, we are talking about the happy prince. In the story, he is not a living prince, but a statue of a dead prince. It is the statue of a dead prince who was decorated with gold leaves and precious stones. Precious means costly stones. He was decorated. When he was alive, when the prince was alive, he always remained happy in the palace. Therefore, all the courtiers, the people in the palace called him a happy prince. He had never seen the misery of the people because he never left that palace. He was confined in the palace. He had never seen the misery and the problems and difficulties of the people. He never knew what problems are, what difficulties and miseries are. He never knew. He was inside the boundary of the palace and he had everything. Everything, all kinds of facilities were provided to him. Since he was a prince, he never knew what troubles and problems and difficulties and miseries are. He remained happy all the time, smiling, laughing, running inside the palace, going through the gardens. But the outside world was quite different. He had never known about it. When he dies, and in his memory, a statue was erected in the center of the city. And the statue sees the misery of the people, and he felt very, very sad. Seeing the people in trouble, seeing the misery of the people, he felt very sad. While he was living, he could not do anything. Now, while he is dead and erected his statue, he sees the problems. Now he wanted to help them. But how does he help the people? He could not move. He is not a living prince. He is just a statue. So now let us start the lesson in our next class. This much for today. We have talked about in general. In our next class, we'll continue the lesson. How does this happy prince help people? And how does swallow come in the middle of the story? What part does the swallow, what part he takes, or what is the part of a swallow in the story? So now these two, the happy prince, the statue, and the swallow, they sacrificed everything. The swallow sacrificed its life for the love of the king, the prince, not the king. He loved the happy prince so much, and he even sacrificed his life for the prince as well as helping the poor. And the happy prince, he gave away all his precious stones and the leaves of gold to help the poor. And finally, these two were chosen as the most precious thing on the earth by the God. So now we will learn various things in the story from our next class. So that's all for today. We'll meet in the next class and continue our lesson properly in detail. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching the video. Stay safe. Go through online portal every time. Many of the students are not going through the online portal. How they will manage to write or do the test. So you must go through the online portal so that it will not become difficult for you. You can understand the whole thing and able to answer any type of questions. So that's all for today. So now I hope you have understood and you are wise enough to use your time carefully, sincerely and honestly. That's all for today. Thank you very much.